Morne started what turned into his career as a young boy in 1976. He has been a full-time martial arts and fitness coach since 1990 and is certified as one of the most qualified reality-based personal protection high-performance mixed martial arts coaches in the world. Traveling more than 50 times to international destinations since 1995 and featuring in almost every media medium across the globe the past couple of years, Morne has become one of the leading figures in martial arts today. Welcome to Chat Sapphire, Morne.
Hey T, good to be here.
Morne, two things strike me immediately. One, that the more I chat with local folk here on the Sapphire Coast, the more I realize what an incredibly rich diversity of experts and leaders in their field walk and live among us here and not necessarily in Gauteng or Cape Town. The other is that your official title is quite a mouthful, namely a reality-based personal protection high-performance mixed martial arts coach. First, just tell us how it came that you decided to make the South Coast your home, and then please can you unpack this title for us?
I think the day we spoke the first time I told you that I'm more known out of my own hometown than in my own hometown. And it's a sad truth that a lot of people in your own hometown don't actually realize who they got here. And we don't actually have to look that far to get the correct experts that are situated right here in the heart of the South Coast. So, sadly that is a truth, but I think we need to get our local community to support more local instead of just driving outside of here to the main cities to look for their support. This happened about 20 years ago. I was heavily involved in security work, actually working undercover in Johannesburg, Hillbrow area, catching drug lords and child syndicate trafficking. It was really an intense time in my life. And basically what happened is my boys were small then. I was locking my wife then kids up in our bathroom and having gunfights in my own house because of some of the drug lords and big guys that I've locked up basically. And during that time I came down to Durban to give a mixed martial arts workshop. Those days it was still very new on the planet, mixed martial arts or the cage fighting. And I gave a workshop, and there was such a huge demand for it down here in Durban. And I just told my family that I think it's the best move right now to get away from these syndicates for the protection of my kids. And that's basically what forced us here to the South Coast. We were originally going to move to the North Coast because we had a timeshare there, but after looking around at housing and the cost of living there, we decided to move more South Coast. And we kind of felt more comfortable South Coast with the kind of people that were here. You don't have to...
it's the best kind, isn't it?
You don't have to compete against the Joneses kind of thing, you can just live your life here kind of thing. So, so it was basically security that got me I wouldn't say running away from the threat, but securing my family.
It was a quality decision.
I had to do it,
Right, and then that title of yours.
There's many titles. I don't like actually using titles. Most of my students just call me coach or even on my first name. And there's many martial arts people out there that insist on using titles. I wouldn't say what you read there was actually a title that is more of a description of who I am and my qualifications. So reality-based is more in the personal protection arena, the street self-defense, combatives, VIP protection, close-quarter combat kind of thing. And then the high-performance mixed martial arts has got to do with the actual cage fighting that you see on TV right now. It all basically originated from Bruce Lee, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
Bruce Lee was way ahead of his era from everybody in the martial arts community when he was alive. And he had this outlook that you use what is useful and reject what is useless, and you have to evolve with time. You can't stick to the same rituals and the same tradition year in, year out, because everything evolves. Training methods evolve, fighting evolves. You just look at boxing, for example, the way boxers stood in the 1930s and 40s and 50s compared to how they stand now. The whole demographics of the fighting stance has changed. So you have to evolve with time, and this is where the mixed martial arts came in. Is it's something that always evolves, unlike a system like karate, for example, that gets passed on over years, generation to generation. Mixed martial arts evolves with time. So I always use this analogy: your 1980 Porsche doesn't look the same as your 2020 Porsche, and that's basically mixed martial arts. Every year it just gets better. There's better training methods, way more scientific, way more athletic. So I mean, what I did 20, 30 years ago, preparing for fights and training, today doesn't seem very logic. So you have to be able to adapt with times, to get the best results.
So just for my own understanding and with respect to the different styles, would you call karate more of a tradition or a cultural marker and mixed martial arts more of a
Yeah, it's more of a hybrid
sport,
system. No, mixed martial arts is also, depending, let me say this, depending on your coach, depending on your instructor. You can get a karate instructor that teaches karate very combative and evolves with time using the principles of karate. And then you can get a mixed martial arts guy that teaches it very traditional and doesn't actually evolve with time. So it all depends on the instructor. And this is why it's so important that whoever is interested in doing this kind of training, that they do in-depth research on their coach or their instructor, and don't just go for the style, because it's not always the style, it's a person offering the style. So you have to really be able to connect with the instructor and know that that's the kind of person I want guiding me.
And also perhaps your own goals.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So your instructor's goals might not be the same as yours. So you might get instructors that are just focused on sport, for example. They just want to do competitions, and your focus is on self-defense. So then you're going to really waste your time going to a sport-based martial arts system or instructor, and vice versa. The sport is definitely not something that you say, all right, I train karate tournaments and I can defend myself in the street. If you're preparing yourself for a street encounter or surviving a street, there's certain ways you need to train. And vice versa. You can't train for the street and go and compete. So
Yes.
There's certain rules and variables depending on the instructor and the organization that you belong to.
And I can imagine the mental preparation is two vastly different things.
Yeah,
The one
100%.
is sort of an innocent win.
Yeah, one is
and the
win,
other
lose,
is survival.
and one is life, death.
Yeah. I can imagine that.
So again, you need to be very wary about that, because the life, death instructor, you must also not get an instructor that is so taken away with the life, death that is not very stable, if you understand what I'm saying. So you need to really just suss out the school first. That's why I don't like saying that there's a certain style that's better, or this karate style is better than that one, or whatever.
No,
it's not really the style, it's the instructor.
Yes,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So before we explore in more detail what forms part of your services, just run us by your main goals or your key areas of operation.
Yeah, we already basically touched on it a little bit. I think a lot of people, of course, they know me as involved in the cage fighting or no holds bar or, like EFC and MMA. They think it's all about fighting. Fighting is actually just, I'd say, 5% of what we got to offer. A lot of people would ask me, yeah, but you do fighting for a life. Does it make you more aggressive? No, it's actually makes me less aggressive. It actually channels my energy. And if I don't do the training, I would be more aggressive. So we're very big. Our first main goal is on life coaching. And sometimes this comes as a shock to a lot of people, thinking, what, you guys do this with life coaching? I say, yeah, the martial arts is full of life coaching lessons. There's not one class, and you can ask any of my students, there's not one class that goes by without a life lesson. And that can be something simple like being stuck at the bottom of the ground with the opponent on top of you, this whole attitude about you never give up, you fall down 7, you get up 8 times, and having that, not giving up attitude into solving a problem. You got this now in a physical domain, that you got this person on top of you, how to physically try and solve the problem. But you take those concepts and you apply it to your life. When you get those challenges, how do you solve the problem? Okay, you can't just fight yourself out of it. There's a way we work ourselves out of it. And the martial arts teaches you that very nicely. So we're very big on life coaching. The second thing we're very big on is body transformation. Now, when I say body transformation, it's not just these 6 or 8 week challenges that you get, the fitness challenges that you get. I personally believe those don't really work that well because a lot of people go on them and then they just go back to normal lives after that. It doesn't help you lose all the weight and you do the before and after pictures, and then how do you look a year after that? So we try and install a lifestyle change, which is more rewarding in terms of that we can actually change your life for the better through discipline and self-respect. And that's why the martial arts comes in. And two of the first things that we expose you to is discipline and self-respect. And if we can get that right, people become overweight and lose track of their life due to lack of self-discipline and self-respect. So that's how we conduct our classes and we conduct our ways in our gyms as well. And then that body transformation is easier to achieve. Then we can burn fat, build lean muscle, and live a healthier lifestyle. Because then, when you go to Woolworths and you hear, Morne was telling me the broccoli, not the ice cream, the broccoli, not the ice cream, then it's easier to make that.
Can't they just make broccoli ice cream?
You see, it's this as well. Everybody knows what to eat. Everybody knows what's good to them or good for them. Everybody knows what to do to exercise and eat healthy, sleep regularly, deal with stress as much as possible. But you need that discipline and respect to do that, and that's
especially if you're a comfort eater.
And
it's so easy to just, I need a reward.
100%.
That particular brand of ice cream has now got my name on it.
And that's why, in my opinion, you need a coach. A coach to motivate you, a coach to guide you, a coach that you need to give feedback to. And if your coach installs that discipline and respect and the whole time he's in the back of your head to make the right choices, it makes it a little bit easier when you get to the ice cream or the broccoli. And yes, we work on a reward system as well. I mean, myself and my boys, we train a lot. And we have a pizza, we have ice cream, we have all that, but we don't make it our lifestyle. So... and it's funny as well, once you get into that healthy lifestyle, that disciplined lifestyle, it actually doesn't feel right to do the cheat stuff. Your body actually rejects it after a while. Your mind, your body, everything. You just don't feel good about it. So it's just something you have to practice. But at the end of the day, the discipline comes. There's a hole under your nose, and whatever goes into that hole, that's what's going to determine how you look. So
exactly.
Nobody's forcing it on you or anything. Then the third thing we're very big on is the self-defense, especially because of the country that we live in. That's our reality. That's why you read just now reality-based. So, for example, the reality, one of my favorite places on this planet to go to is Seychelles. And, the reality there is not the same as what it is here in South Africa. So it's the same like I wouldn't take you tomorrow and train you to deal with suicide bombers. It's not our reality. But your hijackings, your rapings, your muggings, your home invasions, all this kind of stuff, that's our reality.
Those are our realities.
And our reality happens every 5 to 10 seconds in South Africa. It's a very, very high crime statistic. So I would say people are doing themselves injustice for not investing in some form of self-defense training. And the problem is people usually don't do it until it's too late, and then they want to invest. So... you rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, if you understand what I'm saying.
And it also, I'm going back to that mental thing, because if you're doing it from a point of preparation, I don't know if I'm wrong, but rather than from a point of anger, where you've already experienced the trauma and now you're angry and your motivation really is the next guy. I'm going to...
100%. There's a good old samurai saying rather be a warrior in a garden than be a gardener at war. So you rather have the abilities and know that you can channel this and you know what you can do and your confidence and be at peace with everything than not be at peace in everything and you've got no confidence whatsoever. So this is really something that people need to understand is we train for violence, not to have violence.
Exactly.
So, and like
or
you
to
say,
minimize it.
Minimize it. So you need to, exactly what you're saying. It's not a good place once you become a victim to then start training because you've got a lot of energy that needs to be channeled. And yeah, we've had a lot of those cases and scenarios within the people that are trained, and it's better to do it before that happens. And sometimes it's too late by that time. Then the fourth thing we focus on a lot is a sport, combative sports. Everybody knows EFC, one of the fastest, or UFC, it's a cage fighting on TV. It's the fastest growing sport now in the world. Most viewerships, it's just exploding on the scene. And then we do a lot of other combative things like boxing matches and grappling tournaments and all this kind of thing. And then even for the kiddies, like grappling tournaments, which is also very beneficial for them. And then we also got people that focus on like comrades and the Midmar and warrior races and all that kind of thing. So we've got a variety of people that come and train with us. But obviously we got very specific in combat athletics conditioning, so it's a little bit different than your normal gym training or anything like that. So the people actually train like combative athletes, yeah.
Now, Morne, as you know, we already cover life coaching and personal fitness, I think general personal fitness, through other contributors. But I do think our listeners will be interested in the realistic self-defense that you've just mentioned and the combative sports. Shall we look at these quickly, and perhaps you can give a quick overview of the various sports and services that you offer?
Okay, well, we're actually known as... Notmiss Property. We are actually the association, the only association in South Africa that offers such a huge variety of different disciplines under one roof. So, for example, we offer mixed martial arts, which consist of various martial arts. Again, we're going back to Bruce Lee, Jeet Kune Do days. This evolved into mixed martial arts. So within mixed martial arts, you get your kickboxing, judo, wrestling, everything combined into one system. So there's separate, whole combination of systems there. Then we've got another system called Muay Thai boxing, which is like the national sport of Thailand, which is like a kickboxing system, but they incorporate what they call the 8 limbs, which is punches, knees, elbows, and kicks. And it's a very devastating stand-up martial art, not just as a sport, but as a self-defense system as well. And like I say, it's a national sport in Thailand. Then we've got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is... I wouldn't say competitively, but as a martial art is the most popular martial art on the planet right now. And the reason for that is in 1993, and we always spoke about this, which martial art would be better? Who would be the winner? Would the boxer beat the wrestler? Would the karate guy beat this guy? Whatever the situation. So there was a group of guys called the Gracies in 1993 in America that put out the challenge there. They're going to build a cage and there's no rules. All combative systems are invited. There will basically be no rules. And when I say no rules, they didn't fight with gloves. There was no weight division. There was no time restriction. They were allowed to punch and kick in the groin. They were allowed to pull hair. They were allowed to... The only things that were not allowed is 2 people jumping on one. And the other thing that was not allowed was fingers in the eyes or putting fingers in the mouth to fishhook and all this kind of... But everything else was allowed. And
sort of external attack measures.
Yeah, so it was a brutal arena, and... basically what happened is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys beat everybody. And I'm not just talking about beating everybody. You got guys, the guy that won the tournament was like 65 kilos, and he beat sumo wrestlers. He beat heavyweight boxers. He beat all these guys, champion wrestlers, whatever. And that's where the popularity of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came along. Because it's not focused on athleticism or the size of the athlete. It's more based on movement, leverage, angles. The world was stunned by this. And if you do some research on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now, you'll find that most of the celebs worldwide train in this. The great thing about this is it's such a mindful martial art. It's a human chess game. You get given a problem and you have to solve the problem mentally, but with your body as the vehicle.
Whereas your something powers of observation, I presume, is quite strong. You have to
you have to be 2 or 3 moves ahead of your opponent, kind of thing, and you have to work it out like a chess game. That's one of the systems, and there's not many international qualified people in South Africa, which I'm one of, and it's just a really amazing martial art to study for women as well. Immediately for women, it's an anti-rape program. We've got a women empowerment classes as well, where we basically work with women with anti-rape tactics and techniques, and it's based on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, how to deal with attackers. And this is great for women because, like I said, it doesn't focus on bodily strength. And you need bodily strength, but you just work as strong as you can, build yourself up as strong as you can. Okay. Then we got another system which we call submission wrestling, which is basically like a wrestling system, normal wrestling that you see with submissions. This is where people get choked and tapped out and all this kind of thing. Then we got a street combative system, which is your VIP protection, your home invasion, your anti-hijacking, multiple opponents, anti-rape, schoolyard bullying, all this kind of thing, all into one system. We train people in firearm training, edged weapons, pepper sprays, batons, all the weapon stuff we train besides explosives. And then, how to realistically survive a street confrontation. Like I told you before, there's self-defense classes and there's self-defense classes. Then we got what we call warrior fitness, which is, like I mentioned earlier on, the way we condition our athletes to prepare for fights. It's very combative orientated, the conditioning, but everybody can do it. A lot of it is isometrically orientated, body weight orientated. And then we got partner exercises as well as your normal like CrossFit kind of stuff. But it's very combative orientated. And then there's a Bullyproof Your Child, which is, I think every child should get involved in. It should actually be made like a compulsory thing in schools, just like it is in America, where wrestling is part of college. I think our kids are getting weaker and weaker with the generation, and kids need to, if I can say it this way, toughen up a little bit and take more responsibility. And walk around with more confidence. And kids are getting bullied left, right, and center, because the tougher guys are getting tougher and the weaker guys are getting weaker. So we need to toughen up the weaker guys a little bit to be able to stand up for themselves. And that's part of our Bullyproof Your Child program. And then we even got Tai Chi, which I've been training since 1990, which is very much a meditation emotion martial art. Yeah. So that's basically just a rundown of some of the systems that we got.
Self-defense classes in the hands of Morne Swanepoel seem to have grown up. But then again, Morne, your achievements are so impressive that we can actually not even begin to list them all. Listeners, just apart from contributing articles and columns on hundreds of websites, magazines and TV shows, both locally and internationally, Morne sits on a plethora of boards as a director or a national representative, has so many high honors in martial arts styles, naming just 1/5 Dan to illustrate the level he's at, and then there's a growing list of international seminars and training camps. Apart from feeling extremely protected as I sit here opposite you, Morne, I'm mentioning this because it's a privilege to think if someone wants to train in this field, for whatever their reason is, they are basically getting the cream of the crop as their trainer. Chat Sapphire, of course, wants to cover a broad range of topics and give as many listeners as possible something of interest, and Morne will be adding to his to-do list by joining us over the next few weeks to chat in some detail about a few specific topics of interest. He's specifically inviting you, the listener, to let us know if there's a specific topic that you are interested in. And of course, you can reach us at contact@chatsapphire.co.za. Thanks very much, Morne, for our chat today, and we look forward to hearing more from you next week.
It's been such a pleasure, T, and hope we can build up on this.